Fan service is something that can go either way when applied to a project. Too little and you risk alienating those who got you where you are today, but too much can completely derail a show, making it feel cheap and a little bit insulting. Properly building to the big event and delaying the gratification long enough can offer a moment of intense satisfaction, and this has been done in many different ways in TV shows throughout the years. So you know what? Let's take a look at some classic moments, shall we? I'm Adam, this is Whatculture, and here are 11 most fan-pleasing TV moments ever. Number 11. Sam returns, The West Wing. Aaron Sorkin wasn't the only major part of The West Wing to depart after season 4, as Rob Lowe's Sam Seaborn went with him. Seaborn, the Deputy White House Communications Officer, left the White House to run for Congress, and the last we heard is that he'd lost the election and returned to California to work for a law firm, leaving politics altogether. Such was Sam's fate for 3 years, before Josh came calling at the end of season 7, like Nick Fury putting together the Avengers. Initially hesitant to accept his offer of becoming Deputy Chief of Staff for the Santos administration, Sam eventually accepts and makes his grand return to politics. The fast-paced walking and talking banter between the pair is vintage West Wing, and his return gives the show its biggest fist-pumping moment right at the very end. Number 10. Face Off, Breaking Bad. A ruthless, murderous, sociopathic ruler of a drug empire, and yet we all rooted for Walter White anyway. That was especially the case in Breaking Bad's incredible 4th season, where the tension between him and Gus reached fever pitch and it became clear one of them had to go. But which one? For obvious reasons, that couldn't be Walt, yet Gus seemed undefeatable. He exuded such confidence, maintained such control, and walked away from everything thrown at him that it seemed almost impossible we'd ever actually see him beaten. Cut to the season finale and the bomb planted in Hector's wheelchair. It's a masterclass in building tension, gripping us to our seats as we wait to learn whether the plan to kill Gus has worked. And then the door opens, Gus walks out, adjusts his tie, and unbelievably he seems fine, until we learn that half his face has been blown off, and we all cheered. Number 9. Nikki and Paolo are killed off, lost. The pair were introduced early in season 3 as survivors of the plane crash who just hadn't happened to appear before now, as part of a response to questions over what happened to the extras in the plane crash. Fans immediately hated the pair for their whiny annoyance, but luckily didn't have to put up with them for long. The 14th episode of season 3, Expose, centered around them, their history and their time on the island, before they were bitten by venomous spiders that left them paralyzed and, believed dead, were then buried alive by Sawyer and Hurley. The forgettable characters were given unforgettable deaths. Number 8. Jim asks Pam out, The Office. For Jim and Pam, it wasn't a question of will they, won't they, but just a question of when it would happen. Their chemistry was too great, and knowing how sitcoms worked, they were always going to get together. That didn't stop the series from really taking its time with it though, building their friendship first while both were involved in other relationships until the closing moments of season 3. The entire episode, The Job, is one of Pam's best, and Jim's return from New York and walking in on her closing interview is the icing on the cake. It's suitably laid back and casual, with Jim asking her out for dinner and quickly leaving again once she accepts, but the Cheshire Cat smile on Pam's face is one mirrored by everyone watching this moment play out. It was purely lush. Number 7. Bubbles remains sober, The Wire. Given its commitment to authenticity and often all too real portrayal of life in Baltimore, moments of outright uplifting joy were few and far between. However, one of them came at the end of the series when it was revealed that Bubbles makes it to 1 year of sobriety and finds the confidence to go to his sister's house, who welcomes him with open arms and lets him stay with her. Bubs wasn't the biggest character on the show, but he was the core of the show's drive in what he represented. A genuinely good person who has suffered from the system and society around him. His struggle isn't over yet, but seeing him achieve this goal and find acceptance with his family is a beautiful endpoint for the character. Number 6. The Office UK, Why Don't You F Off? Now sure, David Brent had his flaws. He could be crude, loud, and annoying, but he was mostly well-meaning and just wanted people to like him. Chris Finch, on the other hand, was incredibly annoying. If the UK version of The Office had a villain, it was Finch. He was mean, dumb, sexist, and relentlessly offensive, and everyone else could see this except for Brent, who instead laughed at his jokes and looked up to him. Finch, of course, lapped this up while making all kinds of horrible jokes at Brent's expense, with the former sadly unwittingly thinking he was in on it. Fans waited through a dozen episodes, but it felt like many more, for Finch to get his comeuppance, but nothing. And then, like a Christmas miracle, it happened in the special. Finch, Neil, and Brent are all having some more cheeky banter, and finally, the line is crossed. "Chris, why don't you F off?" Brent says, as the entire nation erupted into cheers. Number 5. I Am the FBI, Twin Peaks: The Return. It might be a more contemporary entry on this list, but this moment from Twin Peaks: The Return was 25 years in the making. The original series ended with the massive cliffhanger of Dale Cooper being inhabited by Bob, and over 2 decades later, David Lynch wasn't going to offer an easy answer. The return was nothing like fans expected, instead choosing to completely subvert knowledge of who Dale Cooper is, giving us the hapless, empty vessel of Dougie and the malevolent Mr. C in his place. Seeds for the proper return were sown across the first 15 episodes, but they were scattered. And then, having stuck a fork in a plug socket at the end of part 15 that put him in a coma, Dougie wakes up in part 16 only for us to realise he's Dougie no longer. Cooper's triumphant return is confirmed with 4 simple words that send shivers down the spine of every Twin Peaks fan. I am the FBI. Number 4. Once more with feeling, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And yes, this does happen to be my favourite show. Yes, this is an entire episode rather than a moment, but with good reason. While season 6 of Buffy gets really dark, Once More with Feeling is the show at its most astonishingly crowd-pleasing. An entire episode presented as a musical that ties together important character development and massive show tunes. This is rightfully regarded as one of the all-time best episodes of the series. To boil it down to a single moment though, this also gives us the first true kiss between Buffy and Spike, something fans have been waiting for ages, making this a showstopper inside a showstopper. Number 3. Sam and Diane's first kiss, Cheers. The original will they won't they couple, Sam and Diane were an incredible mix of sexual tension, chemistry and contrasting personalities that made the build up to their relationship so engrossing. Of course, they were never quite right for each other, as Cheers realised later in the show and the finale confirmed, but everyone believed they were back in season 1 and were rooting for them to get together. They were either going to kiss each other or kill each other, and luckily they chose the former. The season 1 finale uses this brilliantly. They almost kiss before Diane rejects his advances, which leads to a huge, iconic argument before the pair kiss passionately in the bar's office, in a moment that would come to help define not only the show, but the entire medium. Number 2. The Purple Wedding, Game of Thrones. Nothing was so intensely satisfying in Game of Thrones as seeing the smirk wiped off Joffrey's face for good. Ramsay's death in season 6 was also incredible, but Joffrey's death was such a sweet victory. Jack Gleason's performance made him so perfectly hateable, his face so punchable, that the second you realise what's happening you want to cheer but don't quite believe it. Falling to the floor, his face turning purple, you're finally allowed to celebrate. Coming just 3 episodes after another wedding ended in such tragedy, this was exactly what fans needed. Number 1. I Got Off the Plane, Friends. Friends was full of fan-pleasing, fist-pumping, heart-swelling, stand-up yelling moments. Ross and Rachel's first, okay, technically second kiss, he's her lobster, Monica proposing to Chandler, Joey moving back into the apartment. The writers would even gauge audience reaction when filming and change things on the fly. But for all the highs across all 10 seasons, no moment pleased fans, made fists pump, hearts swell, and have you stand up and yell quite as much as the scene when Rachel stands in Ross's doorway, revealing that she did indeed get off the plane. Their relationship may have been off longer than it was on, but Ross and Rachel had to end up together. They left it late, but that just made it all the sweeter. This is the emotional crescendo to the entire series. Quite literally, it's happy ending. And there we have it folks, our list of 11 most fan-pleasing TV moments ever. But which ones are yours? Make sure you let us know down in the comments, I'm really looking forward to reading through them. And while you're there, make sure you give us a like and a cheeky subscribe. If you want to follow me on socials, I am @Strawn87 across all social media. Come and say hello to me on there. Thank you for watching everyone, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, take care.